Whew. Hello?
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, shit, we're recording.
Oh, we are? Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. Hi, and welcome to the Freescast. This is the Shadow of Israphel Conspiracy Theories Part 2. Not a mouthful at all. Long-awaited video by, a couple of people. So, anyway.
Six. Like six people.
Like a whole six.
There were so many people requesting this video.
So many people. Anyway, so... kind of a lot to cover in this episode because a lot has happened in a way. Not really, sort of. Anyway, besides the point. So, I'm going to go in and just dive right into it.
Well, actually...
No?
They might want to know why we're standing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So...
Our money has recently depleted, so we've had to sell our furniture.
We're rapidly running out of money, so we've sold our furniture. We can only light one set at a time. And we have no heating in here, so...
Yeah.
It's a bit chilly. We're slowly dying of hypothermia. Anyway.
You are, but anyway. So... What? On to the first thing that I'm going to mention.
The first thing.
The first thing. The very first thing.
Very first.
So this is from...
Not... Alright, just go.
So this is from Minecraft Guess Who, which is just a fun mini game that Simon and Lewis played, and it's the first one called Ask Me a Question. And there's one round that they're playing where the whole object of the game is one person gets ahead and the other.
We know how Guess Who works.
Okay, well. Anyway, so there was a point where Lewis got Israphel's head. And when Simon figured it out, they both started cracking up. My theory, obviously, this is just a theory. I have nothing really to back it up. However, my theory on this is that they were laughing so hard, mostly because they know there's some sort of tie between Israphel and Lewis.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we don't know it yet. We've seen the new Israphel skin, which has Zephos or Lewis's skin on it with Israphel's head. Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing quite to draw from yet. We kind of need to wait for more clues and/or the possible return of SOI, which brings me on to the Yogscast YouTube homepage, which with the new channel art for Deep Space Mine, which is their new series. If you go to the top right and zoom in, you will see a small capsule with Israphel inside of it. Just kind of interesting to see that they've actually put Israphel in their channel art, because it's been a little while since we've seen him in their channel art.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, since relatively the end of SOI.
Also, I haven't really looked at this, but there's a shape around each one of the capsules.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of looking at that, and it doesn't look like there's anything really. But
no, there's not really anything symbolic about it.
I just noticed that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I am going to try and watch Deep Space Mine to catch up and see if there might be any more clues. Which brings me on to the next thing.
So,
in the first episode, or second episode, sorry, of Deep Space Mine loading in, Lewis is talking to Simon and Duncan, and he says, "I've been here for 2 years, and I'm waiting for you guys for 2 years," which is kind of funny because it's been about 2 years since the last Shadow of Israphel episode.
Yeah, and I found that kind of interesting when you pointed that out to me, because it's just something I would have thought that I would have caught that, but
yeah,
weird.
It was fit into just a common conversation, so you wouldn't really have noticed it. I mean, it did kind of stand out to me just because I'm constantly just looking for stuff like that. I'm weird like that. Anyway, so on to my next thing. In Hole Diggers 62, which was the finale, the space station blows up. And at about 1839, Lewis begins saying, and who knows where our clones went? They could have been sucked into a different dimension, and who knows what great adventures they'll embark upon. I found that kind of funny as well, just because he is mentioned so many darn times about how there's different dimensions.
Yeah.
Like Jin's farm is a different dimension. Gold Diggers was apparently a different dimension. What was it? Space Engineers was a different dimension.
Oh, yeah.
Yog Labs, different dimension. Almost every single one of their series has been a different dimension.
Yeah. So it really could allow him to do pretty much anything and connect it to, like, everything else.
It's
with that comment.
Very, very smart.
Yeah. So we're just hoping,
He's using that greatly to his advantage, because with dimensions, you have limitless possibilities. So they could easily bring back Shadow of Israphel almost like nothing happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it would not take much to bring back Shadow of Israphel when they decide to do it, if they decide to do it.
How would they explain where they left? Like...
Yeah, that might be slightly interesting. My best theory is that they could say that Skylord Lysander came and got them because for some reason they just passed out in the desert. And that would be kind of going off of the clone theory, how they're actually shells of clones. And they went to a different world, which is why they left Shadow of Israphel. If you get what I'm saying. From the clones mod, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sync.
Sync, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So my best theory is that Skylord Lysander comes and takes them out of the desert along with that other sick guy or whatever. Can't remember his name either.
Oh, sick guy. What's his name?
In the last episode, they're going to a Swampy to help cure this one guy that they found in the hand. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, that would be a good way to explain it. And they've just been knocked out for just a few hours, because technically that would explain it, because going into different dimensions, time is would be really distorted. Should there be other dimensions that exist and they're going into different dimensions? Technically, no time in the world of Shadow of Israphel would have passed. Anyway. So, and then lastly, because I got a lot of comments on Mushberry Tales number 43, The Sands of Time. At 5:58, about that, it's pretty funny because in the left corner, you can see Israphel's head as she's walking out of her house, which I thought was kind of funny. Anyway, and that was actually shortly after they had changed the Israphel skin.
Really?
I think it was like 6 or 7 days after, which I thought was funny. So anyway, and then I
find it interesting that you know exactly what day they changed it.
Yeah, I know.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And then this is kind of loosely based, but in Mushberry Tales, when she confronts the Mushroom King or Netherwart Queen, I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, I don't quite understand the whole storyline behind it, but anyway, she walks through a nether portal, or another portal's built up behind her when she walks into the throne room, and she can't seem to walk through it.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't actually walk through it. Which could kind of hint towards... I don't know. I mean, again, that's loosely based, but that's pretty much best I got for that. So that is pretty much all my theories on some of the newest videos. There was a lot to cover, but not enough to fill this whole video.
Yeah. Well, I did see some comments on the old video, like
yeah, go ahead and comment.
It's kind of interesting. It's not really like a whole like conspiracy theory type thing. It's more of like this thing is, I don't know how to say it, like it makes a little bit more sense. Like, Derpinator95 says maybe they're waiting for Mojang's plugin API instead of having to use Forge, which could explain Lewis's comment, no promises that it will return in the original format, but also explains the Christmas song by Lewis and Simon. Which is kind of interesting because we're having problems with the Stranded mod pack right now. And you know that's kind of preventing us from doing that series right now, which could kind of explain why the Oxcast are not doing Shadow of Israphel.
Yeah, that definitely could explain it.
But
That's kind of funny, actually. I didn't really think about that.
yeah,
I did to an extent, but yeah. Now that you mention it, because of the severe uncompatibility with a lot of mods, like for instance, custom NPCs, which would be incredibly useful for Shadow of Israphel for them. Same with a lot of our series, and mocap, and maybe iDisguise. I don't know if they would want to use that. Possibly. Anyway, those are pretty uncompatible with a lot of other mods. Just because of, I guess, the coding that goes into them or something. They're very, very touchy mods. Kind of like Pixelmon. Pixelmon isn't that incredibly compatible either. I think it's just because of all the entities that they add. So.
Yeah.
Specifically with custom NPC, because you just get to constantly generate entities, or I say entities, I guess.
And custom, it just adds like a new AI to the whole game.
Yeah.
It's.
And then same with Pixelmon, it generates hundreds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. So yeah, that was actually a really good point. Didn't really look too much into that. There was also another comment, I can't quite remember who said it, but they suggested that maybe the hand had something to do with the Fumblemore robot that was in Yog Labs. I'm not trying to be mean, but that is kind of loosely based. However, it remains a very interesting possibility and theory that Yog Labs took what they got from the hand and used it to build a robot of their own. I mean, possibly the Fumblemore robot could be used to battle the robot that we're assuming is underneath the sand that is connected to the hand, that is more than likely controlled by Israphel. Just a theory, but... Alright, so one thing that I really love that the Oxcast did was they've created these different dimensions to where potentially what could happen, like currently, obviously, Yog Labs is the closest tie to Shadow of Israphel. So, potentially what could happen is they could end up battling Israphel in every single dimension they've ever been in, because in every series we have had some sort of sign of Israphel, whether it be really, really minor or blatant. Like in Yog Labs, it's very clear.
Yeah.
However, with Yog Labs, I do want to address that really quickly before we wrap up the video. With Yog Labs, I mean, there's so many ways with Yog Labs that they could bring Shadow of Israphel back. Like, first off, they could go maybe into time travel. They could take a time travel spin off of it, where Simon goes back in time to the point of Shadow of Israphel. Or they go through these dimensional portals and come back out into Shadow of Israphel. Except what would be so unique and amazing about these dimensions that Lewis has repeatedly stated in every single series they've ever done is that technically no time would have passed in the world of Shadow of Israphel, so they could literally just pick up right where they left off with no break in it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, technically,
Well,
they wouldn't have to explain it. They kind of would, but...
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they've pretty much already explained it, haven't they? Like,
Yeah, I guess they have.
they've created a whole, I don't know, like, explanation for, the whole clone things and different dimensions and all this.
Yeah,
They
didn't you have
basically probably have to tie it all together in one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Like you had a theory about the clones and how they how in the holodeck, I think, your glebs, they went on to mention that they could control who respawned.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them briefly about that? Or
Okay, so there was a conversation I was looking at for Night Peculiar, actually, on the Yogscast forums page. So people were saying, Night Peculiar could just respawn, right? Because it's like a whole Minecraft world, and that's kind of a thing. But then a moderator went into saying that if Night Peculiar could respawn, wouldn't Israphel be able to respawn after they eventually kill him?
Should they
that
kill?
would kind of make it pointless.
Yeah.
But then that brings up, like, I was thinking about that, and Lewis did say in that Yoglabs video that they could, something along the lines of they could control who respawns and all that stuff generally, So they could basically, and then they could have control over Israphel once he dies, because they could have like a clone of him or something. And,
which could potentially make for a either sequel or prequel, but we're not going to go into our prequel theory just yet.
Yeah.
We'll tackle that next video. We've got a lot of theories now, because now that we've gone through a lot of the videos and things like that, we'll start going through our theories of what we think could possibly happen, or what we'd like to see happen, things like that. And we'll address more comments in the part 3 video.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was really informative. Hope it somewhat fed your constant craving for Shadow of Israphel theories and conspiracy theories. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it was informative. And make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment on what your theories are. I'd love replying to a lot of your comments. Just make sure they make sense. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. I said bye last.
No. Bye.
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 Bye.